talk to me a little bit about, when you took the role as associate municipal judge.
It was very recently. In July of 2025, so just last month, it was actually July 18th when I was first contacted. They had a vacancy come up pretty suddenly in the municipal court position, so they needed some attorneys to temporarily fill in. So they asked me, along with other attorneys, and me and two other attorneys have been filling in temporarily. So I've only been in that position for about 4 weeks.
And was this something that you expected to be long-term?
I did. Eventually I knew that they would hire a full-time permanent municipal judge. I was only filling in as associate judge. So once the permanent judge came on, our position would be reduced to that of filling in whenever the permanent judge was out of town or just out of the office and needed backup.
And what do some of those tasks and responsibilities look like?
I was still going through training on that aspect of it, but it was municipal court duties, so it was Class C misdemeanors, it was traffic violations, and things of those nature. Also dealing with property violations and anything that dealt with the city ordinances and Class C misdemeanors.
And prior to this weekend, has this ever, or did you ever consider that being in this role would be something that would conflict with your role as a private attorney?
I had concern about that actually when I took the position, and one of the things I took the position, one of the reasons was that I don't do criminal law. I'm not a criminal attorney. I'm a civil attorney that handles personal injury claims as well as civil disputes. So it would be unlikely that I would have anything in that realm that would conflict. However, I did have one matter. I had represented CBD House of Healing for quite some time, and we had almost at the exact same time that I was asked to take the municipal judge position, I was contacted, my clients were contacted by APD and given a target letter stating that they were being investigated with regard to a city ordinance. That city ordinance was something they had dealt with in the past and had resolved in 2024. So when I received that notice from my clients, I reached out to the city attorney and he confirmed that they were in good standing. It had been completely resolved in 2024, and to his knowledge there was no outstanding investigation with regard to city ordinances. So that led me to believe that that was not a conflict, and even so, once I became confident that I was going to become an associate municipal judge, I reached out again just to confirm that this would not be a conflict. And to be clear, there would be no situation to where the allegations that are being leveled against my clients right now would ever come before an associate municipal judge. So even if going forward they had moved forward with criminal charges while I was still there was never going to be a conflict of interest as far as my position there, because I would have never heard it. My conflict came into play when my clients' due process rights were denied and constitutional rights were denied by the City of Abilene Police Department.
And I want to go back to a few things that you said. So for one, when you're talking about that you reached out in terms of just making sure that they were in good standing, who are the people or who are the parties that you're reaching out to clarify this?
Absolutely. Since this request came from, or this notice and this most recent target letter came from APD, I reached out to the city attorney, first of all, because it referenced city ordinances. Historically, the city attorney and his office are the ones that would prosecute city ordinance violations. So we reached out to him. I also sent a letter, certified mail, regular mail, and email to APD and received confirmation that the chief of police and Officer Valentine received that letter prior to this search warrant being issued. So we sent it to both departments. We did receive a response from Stanley Smith in the city attorney's office, as I explained before, and then we also received no response from APD.
And then how long, about would you say, I know you said a while, but how long have you been representing CBD House of Healing?
For several years.
Okay. And then just walk me through what happened over the weekend.
And I want to clarify my representation of Abilene CBD House of Healing. It's always been on with regard to civil issues. there's never been any inkling or belief that there could be criminal issues involved with anything they do.
And sorry not to cut you off, but when you say dealing with civil issues for, just in layman's terms, does this mean, just to make sure that they have someone to go over things or anything like that, or what is that specifically?
When you're running a business, a lot of times you need to form new contracts, forming the business, with regard to contract disputes, contract negotiations, employment issues, anything that would fall under the non-criminal aspects.
And then, again, just walk me through what happened over the weekend.
I received a phone call on Saturday from my client's wife, from Brittany Mansky, the owner of CBD House of Healing, and was notified that the police were there executing a search warrant. And at the time it happened that I was just a few blocks away. I was actually able to get to the store before Brennan Mansky even arrived. Once I arrived, I identified myself to the police that were inside the building and was denied entry. When Brennan arrived, he arrived through the back door, and I was at the front entrance, so we missed each other. And it was at that time that he was not allowed to leave. From that time, that was at about 11:30 in the morning, he was not allowed to leave until 5 o'clock that afternoon. During the time of the execution of the search warrant, Mr. Mansky was Mirandized and was advised of his right to an attorney, and he requested an attorney on multiple occasions, and on each occasion he was denied that ability to speak with me, even though I was right outside of the window and I was actually talking to him as best I could through the window. I asked to see the search warrant and was denied the opportunity to view the search warrant as well. So going back to my decision to step down from being an assistant municipal judge, that decision was made because of these issues. We had reached out multiple times or not multiple times, but we had reached out once we received the target letter. We had tried to cooperate. We were denied any courtesy by the Abilene Police Department that would have made this a smoother process and an easier process on its citizens. So once the police officers left on Saturday evening, I was finally able to speak with Brennan, and that was after 5 o'clock.
And when you say denied, they're flat out saying no, or there's no response? Just to kind of clarify.
They said there is no way you were coming in this building. They would not unlock the door. They would not let Brennan talk to me. When I did try to talk to him through the window, we could kind of get messages back and forth, but it was very limited. And even to view the search warrant, he had to hold it up against the glass so I could take a picture of it with my phone. I tried to come in multiple times. Again, I identified myself as an attorney, as the agent for Brennan and CBD House of Healing, and was continuously told, no, you're not coming in. I was briefly allowed in the very front of the building one time, in which Officer Valentine told me that I would not be coming in, and it did not matter that I was his attorney.
And do you have any idea what would make them deny your entry? And additionally, like with you working for the city essentially, what is that kind of, what goes through your mind there as well?
It gives me pause about what would they be so concerned about with a potential subject of an investigation having a lawyer. Anytime government officials, specifically law enforcement, deny your right to have an attorney, you have to wonder why they are so scared to have legal representation and legal eyes in there. And that should scare everybody that's a citizen, because if they don't want you to have legal representation, what are they trying to hide?
And just being there in that moment, what were you kind of feeling with this just being an interaction with law enforcement? Was it a tense moment? What was that like for you?
Disappointment, just an immediate realization that the courtesies that we were extending towards them were never going to be extended towards us, that we had tried to work with them, and disappointment that officers would treat a citizen this way without any necessity.
And your decision to step down, what did that timeline kind of look like?
This all occurred on Saturday, and I tendered my resignation yesterday afternoon on Monday.
And what were some of the thoughts that went in and decisions that went into making the overall decision?
It was a really hard decision. I take service to the community very seriously. I love this community, and I'm from here. I grew up here. We're raising our children here, so we always want to do our best to give back to the community. But the most important thing as an attorney is to make sure that my clients' rights are protected. And so when things transpired as they did on Sunday, it made it a really easy decision to know that this was the right thing to do.
And would you call this a decision based on ethics?
Absolutely.
And then just in terms of, you say that you reached out to, Abilene Police, you were looking for that communication. What would you have hoped had came from that communication?
Them telling me what they thought we were violating, what laws we were violating, and then us getting with them and coordinating with them and trying to get into compliance if possible. As we sit here today, it's still unclear exactly what they are alleging because of the way that the information has been presented to us. It would be impossible right now to get into compliance. So an open dialogue about this would have been nice, just to give us the opportunity. They've represented multiple times throughout the past few days that we were given the opportunity to comply, and we haven't. And I cannot stress enough how incorrect that is. We wanted to comply. We asked, tell us what we are violating. Not once were we given the opportunity or the courtesy of a return call, a return email, anything. We wanted to comply. So the fact that they've had the statement out there that we were given the opportunity is just, it's unbelievable. And it gives further concern of why there's a lack of trust right now with me and APD, is that if they're willing to go and make that as a public statement, when I can clearly document that that is not what happened, that they absolutely ignored our request to meet with them and speak with them, it's really frustrating.
And in terms of the actual raid itself, do you know if anything was seized and their doors are shut subsequently? Are they able to open them at all?
No, they are closed. They are not able to open them. There was a tremendous amount of product seized, but as far as that goes, that's going to be with regard, the person that will be better to answer that Sunday will be their criminal attorney. Just right now, I can't comment on that.
Okay. And then just in terms of, you mentioned that going forward, you still have the desire to serve the community of Abilene. What does that look like, especially in regards to this situation?
Absolutely. Like I said, we're raising our kids here. I have a husband that's employed here. This is where we're going to be forever. So we want to make sure that this is a city that we can grow in, that we can thrive in. And I'm not sure what my continued service to the city looks like, but right now it looks like serving my clients, not just Mr. and Mrs. Mansky, but also my other clients that need my assistance.
And if you could say anything to the Abilene Police Department, what would that be?
We'd still love to talk. We'd still love to figure out a way to mend this. We'd love the opportunity to work and exist in a city where we are all on the same page. The desire of the Manskys has always been to provide safe and reliable products to their customers that are legally complying with federal, state, and local laws. So we still want to do that, and we are still open. We are still here to discuss it. Obviously, that would have to be within the criminal realm of things now that this has happened, but we still are open to a discussion and a dialogue that would hopefully help the rest of the community understand what happened as well.
And when you say within the criminal realm, what does that mean going, just now that this has happened, what happens going forward?
We don't know yet. They seized a tremendous amount of product from our clients. It is eventually going to be in the hands of the district attorney going forward. So we are just waiting to see what happens next.
And then just based off this case and everything that's happened, what would you like the community of Abilene to know?
It's a great place to live. I still believe that. But if you feel your rights are not being protected, please ask for a lawyer. There's going to be times when you're entitled to one and you need to ask for one. And know that we are going to continue fighting and making sure that those who violate rights are held accountable.
And is there anything else that she would like to add in the audience section?
I don't think so. Okay.
Real quick, like you brought up, the state and federal and city ordinances and stuff.
Yes.
Everybody knows, with the Farm Bill and
Yes.
and state laws and the I guess city ordinances, you just wanted to make sure that everything was on the up and up with your clients, correct?
Absolutely.
And kind of walk us through that and your process of trying to contact through Stanley.
Well, the process in 2024 was an issue of city ordinances. So in 2024, it was an issue that there's a city ordinance that you cannot operate what they call a head shop in certain areas of town. It has to only be operated in heavy commercial areas. So the head shops are certain things that we were not operating at the time. We declined that, but we are not operating now. So we made sure to get into compliance back in 2024. They confirmed that we were in compliance. And then again in 2025, whenever we got this notice, we reached out again to just say, hey, y'all said we were okay in 2024. Why would we be in violation of this now? It was the exact same ordinance. And they said, the city attorney's office confirmed that we are in compliance with it. So again, this that happened the other day had nothing to do with city ordinances, despite their claim that we were given the opportunity to remedy it.
So their claims are, these are criminal accusations that are against state law or federal law?
At this time it's state law, but there is a lot to be determined moving forward.
And I guess this goes back to the whole Farm Bill and the slippery slope there, correct?
I wouldn't call it a slippery slope. I think our position is going to be that the law is clear. If the law as it is now made this illegal, they wouldn't be in our Texas legislature trying to make it illegal. I'm sorry, I don't know if I stated that correctly. If the products that were being sold right now were illegal, our Texas legislature would not be trying to make them illegal. They would already be illegal. They are trying to pass laws right now to change this. As we sit here today, they are trying to pass laws to change this. So it's our position that it's legal. Everything that they were doing was legal, and again, the criminal matters will have to wait and see how that plays out in district court.
You stated earlier this is kind of a matter of ethics, the legal issues can be dealt with later, but just the way things transpired and ethically you don't feel comfortable continuing on in your role as judge. Kind of explain that.
Yes, as in my role as judge, there's two different aspects of it. One is I was allowed to continue having a private practice. It's a rare situation with municipal judges, but I was allowed to. In that role as municipal judge, though, I have to be able to trust what police officers are telling me, and then at the same time, I have to be able to protect my clients' rights. And the dividing line that happened on Saturday, that very clear overstep by our city police, made it to where those two lines were so blurred that I no longer could have faith in certain members of the Abilene Police Department.